Okay, so we're going to look at Here Comes the Sun.
Cool.
I did it last week, but you weren't here, Isaac, and Warren wasn't here either, and the people that were here last week aren't, so we can cover it again. Works out perfectly.
Sounds good to me.
And I'm all practiced up from doing it last week, or so I think I might be, and maybe I'm rusty after a week. We'll see.
Sounds like the teacher coming back after the substitute teacher didn't do what the lesson called for.
Except I'm both.
Absolutely. Students' fault this time.
That's right.
They were able to talk
that?
They were able to talk the teacher out of doing what she or he was supposed to do.
That's right.
Been there, done that.
A lot of this is going to be initially basic information, and then we can get more specialized. So the first thing we want to do is cover the chords that we're going to be using. So look at the chord chart as a starting point. So the chords we're going to be using in this, we're going to be using an A7, which we're going to be using our 2 fingers on the second frets of the D and B strings. And all right, so that's an A7. That's just two fingers. It's a little easier than an A, I would think, because we're only using 2 fingers, but that could be debatable, I suppose.
Like that?
All right, that's an A7. Now, we're going to play a chord that sounds tougher, but it's actually easier to play. We're just using 1 finger. We lift our finger off the B string, and we just have an A7sus2. We take our finger off. So we've taken an A7 chord, and we've suspended the 3rd. In this case, the 3rd note of the A scale, which is a C sharp. And by removing our finger, we've suspended that and replaced it with a B. And then we put our finger back on, and we're back to an A7. And what we can do, a lot of times when we play this, is we strum down with an A7, and we take our finger off on the up strum, and we put it back down on the down strum again. That's a common way of using this suspended. It's not the only way. Sometimes you play a whole phrase. But in this particular song, we're going to be taking our finger off and putting it on back on quickly. So on a down strum, we have the A7. On the up strum, as soon as we're up strumming, we take our finger off and get the A7sus2. It's easier to play than it is to say. And it's something that you can practice, you know, as long as you understand how to do it to begin with. You don't want to be practicing the wrong thing. So you're going to strum down with the A7, and you lift your finger for the A7sus2. And when you lift your finger, I remove mine just so you can see what the chord is, but you wouldn't necessarily move your finger all the way out of the way. You leave it there kind of hovering, ready to put it right back on. So you lift it just ever so slightly, really, so that you can put it back as quickly as you took it off. You're lifting the finger that's on the B string. It depends on how you're playing the A7. So if you're playing the A7 with your 1st and 2nd finger, then you lift your 2nd finger. If you're playing the A7 with your 2nd and 3rd finger, you lift your 3rd finger. It really depends on which 2 fingers you use. But it's the finger that's on the B string that you're going to lift. So that's the A7sus2 in combination with the A7.
Mm-hmm.
Now the next chord we're going to play is the A7sus4. And it's the same idea. We're going to take the 3rd note of the A scale, which is the C sharp, which is what our finger on the B string is playing. It's playing the 2nd fret of the B, which ends up being the C sharp. And we're going to put our ring finger, in this case, in front of it. So I'm using my first two fingers to play the A7, and I put my ring finger down on the 3rd fret, which is playing a D note now. That's the 4th note of the scale, which is why we call this an A7sus4. We're suspending the 3rd and putting the 4th in its place. And that's a very similar thing. We're going to be using it fairly quickly in a similar fashion. We're going to go strum. So let's see. So in that particular case, another thing to practice is strumming down with the suspended and then taking it off and putting it back on. So you're going to strum down with it in place, the suspend in place, and then you take it off on the up strum and put it back down. So that's another thing to practice. So that's a big part of the song. It's the A7, the A7sus2, and the A7sus4. The next part of the song, it's even bigger part really, is the D, because it's in the key of D, or it pretends to be in the key of D when we put the capo on, but we still think of it as the key of D.